I definitely feel ready for recovery week now though. Hello and welcome to week 3 of my training for the Berlin Marathon. This is my 3rd week of higher mileage, ahead of a recovery week next week. Talking of recovery, Monday was the usual double of 5 miles in the morning and 5 miles in the evening, all at a super relaxed recovery pace, which for me is at least 2 minutes per mile slower than marathon pace. I had a few minor aches following the long run the day before, but I felt fine during the runs, and the aches felt much better after my usual evening yoga session. Tuesday was a beautiful sunny morning for 10 miles at easy pace along the canal, and I got to see the first sighting of a newly hatched bevy of cygnets. I've been watching the parents nest for quite a while now, so it was lovely to see them out and about finally. I really love running along the canal because of all the wildlife I get to see. Swans, herons, rabbits, and even occasionally otters and kingfishers. It's certainly a big improvement compared to when I used to run into the office via Holloway when I worked in London. I'd see plenty of wildlife then too, but of a very different kind. The pace was good on this run, 7:17 per mile, and I felt relaxed the whole way through. The evening recovery run was a little ploddy, which can often be the case after several weeks of heavy training, but the heart rate and the pace was in the right place, so it was just a case of getting it done. Workout Wednesday was another change of pace tempo session, taken from the Fitzinger Faster Road Racing book. This had an extra rep compared to last week, so it consisted of 4 minutes hard, then 4 minutes steady, followed by 6 times 2 minutes hard, 4 minutes steady, for a total of 44 minutes of work. My legs felt a little heavy during the warm-up, but I know that doesn't always mean very much, and indeed the session itself went really well. I was around 5 seconds per mile faster for the hard sections, and around 10 seconds per mile faster for the steady sections, which was great, especially when you factor in the extra rep. I also felt really strong on the warm down, running sub 7 miles for a total of 14 miles at an average of 6:40 per mile. Not too shabby. These were better paces than I managed when I did the same session a week before my 10k PB, so to manage it in the middle of a high mileage training block is a really positive sign. A little cycling, followed by my usual strength and conditioning routine, completed a tough but very satisfying day. On Thursday my legs felt a little sluggish to get going, no doubt due to the session the day before, but despite this the pace and heart rate was good, and I averaged 7:15 minutes per mile. My hamstrings and glutes were a little bit achy following this run, but rolling helped. It had warmed up quite a bit for the afternoon recovery run, so while the effort felt easy, I was really struggling to keep my heart rate down. Friday's medium long run moved up to 15 miles from the 13 miles I've been doing for a few weeks now. I was a bit tired, and the run felt like a bit of a slog at times. However, I know to expect this during marathon training, and indeed I'm quite surprised it's taken to the Friday of the 3rd week of training before I've had a run like this. And while it didn't feel great, it was far from terrible, and I've certainly felt a lot worse on runs during marathon training. Despite this though, the pace was actually really good, and I averaged 6:53 per mile. If I can churn that pace out when I'm not feeling my best, I'm not going to complain. I feared the afternoon recovery run might not be much fun based on what happened in the morning, but I decided to head out anyway, and surprisingly my legs felt pretty sprightly. However, it was an even warmer afternoon than the day before, and I really struggled to keep my heart rate down. While I love the lighter mornings of marathon training in the summer, the hotter afternoons are definitely a big negative. Saturday was another early start to avoid the heat, although it turns out I probably needn't have bothered as it was quite overcast, which kept the temperatures down. The legs felt good again, and I averaged 7:11 per mile, which is the fastest I've done an easy canal run for quite some time. I made up for the early start by taking a nap when I got home. Sleep's a really important part of marathon training, so I always try to be as rested as I possibly can be. Sunday was a dull grey morning, but it made for great running conditions as the temperatures stayed cool and there was very little breeze around. My legs started out strong and stayed that way the whole way around, and I was really pleased with the run. Don't get me wrong, afterwards they were pretty tired, but luckily I had my personal physio on hand to give them a massage. I ran just over 22 miles around Worcester at an average pace of 6:47 per mile. That's the second fastest regular long run, that is, a long run without any marathon pace or tempo sections, that I've ever done. The only time I've run faster than that in a long run is just before Manchester, and then it was only by a few seconds. So that's 3 consecutive 100-mile weeks in the bank. I'm really pleased with how training's gone so far. My body's coped well with the mileage, I've generally felt really strong during runs, and my paces have gradually been coming down, closer and closer to what I was managing before Manchester last year. I feel a huge chunk fitter than I was a month ago, and not all that far from how I felt when I was in 2:45 shape, which is very satisfying. I definitely feel ready for a recovery week now though, and I'm glad I can back off a bit. It is literally a marathon, not a sprint, so it's important to give your body a chance to absorb the training every so often. I'll aim to do a shorter session next week, but we'll back off the mileage to something around 60 to 70 miles. I then have the Coventry Northbrook 10k on Sunday. Given my recent training, I half wonder if I'm in 10k PB shape at the moment, with the caveat that I didn't run a 10k before my 2:45 in Manchester. I don't think I'm in quite that shape yet. My PB is 36:12, but given the improvements I made at other distances prior to Manchester, I think I was in well under 36-minute shape back then. However, the course at Coventry is described as undulating, and I'm not the biggest fan of hills, so I'm not sure exactly how that will pan out. It will be good to do something a little outside my comfort zone though, and hopefully I can give it a good blast regardless. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel so you can follow my journey towards Berlin. And if you have any questions about my training, or anything you'd like me to cover in future videos, please leave a comment below. Cheers!